Hello, fight fans, and welcome back to the Hit and Don't Get Hit podcast. Today, I'm joined once again by Shay and James, who will be giving us an in-depth analysis of the main bouts on UFC 260. The three fights we'll talk about are Sean O'Malley versus Almeida, Woodley versus Luque, and of course, Stipe Miocic versus Francis Ngannou 2. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below who you think will be crowned the UFC heavyweight champion of the world. Also, a big shout out to the Daft Lads podcast and Premier League Patter. Their links will be in the description below. How are we doing, lads? All right?
Very good.
Good, mate.
So, first off, we're going to talk about the O'Malley versus Almeida fight. Now, O'Malley lost his last fight to Vera, and Almeida lost his last three fights. So, I'm going to ask you, Shay, how do you feel this fight will pan out?
I think it was a really more, obviously there was a lot of hype surrounding O'Malley, and I think that Vera loss should really brought him back down to earth. I feel, and Almeida's on a bit of a skid really. It was a prospect until he got beat off Cody Garbrandt, and then obviously he hasn't won I think since November 2016, and I think it's just tailor made for O'Malley to come back at another highlight reel KO. I think that will happen. I think not in the first round. I think maybe round two. I think it'll start pacing him up. But what he's got to watch out for is Almeida will go with the leg kicks. Obviously, the calf kicks is what's in current these days. And obviously, you're saying in the O'Malley fight against Vera, he really suffered bad, and that's what led him to get stopped. And he also suffered an injury against, I can't pronounce his second name, but it's Andreas. I don't know. But anyways, he suffered I think it was an ACL injury. And he won the fight, but he was out for a year. So I was wondering if that's going to come into play in this fight. But I still fancy O'Malley to get the job done, definitely. I think it'll be a second round TKO. What's your thoughts on it, James?
I agree. I think you'll stop them maybe a bit later on. But is it 3 round? Is it a 3 round fight or a 5 round fight?
Yes, it's three rounds here.
Oh well, I think you'll stop them then in second round. I agree, second round finish.
Definitely. It's got and that'll the water bringing him up would be a big name. Like we talked about in the previous podcast about the lack of names. One name that was mentioned about being up and coming was Sean O'Malley because he has that fan base, and he says, this is him quoting, not me. He says he aims to get more numbers than McGregor, which I think that's virtually impossible. But you got to fair play to him. I know he's got a very good strong fan base in with Twitch and whatnot. So yeah, that's it really.
So let's see O'Malley wins. What's next for him?
I like to see him. I like to see him in that top 10 picture. I also like to see him against Vera, the rematch. I think that was a bit of a fluke. That bantamweight division's looking nice. Got TJ Dillashaw coming back against Corey Sandhagen. You've got that's just been announced Cody Garbrandt against Rob Font. Obviously the Jan and Sterling rematch that was going to be happening. Obviously Jose Aldo's in the mix there. Dominic Cruz even he got a good comeback win the other month. But yeah, I'd like to see him getting that top 15, top 10, possibly against Vera, maybe Dominic Cruz, something like that. But yeah, it's a really must-win fight for O'Malley because if he gets beat off someone that's coming off a 3-fight skid, he's really in trouble. In my opinion, but that's my opinion.
Yeah, even moving on to the next one, that is similar to Woodley, who he's lost his last 3. Bearing in mind, though, his last 3 have been Usman, Burns, and Covington.
That's some free to lose against, isn't it?
I know. However, I don't know whether this has had an impact or not, but Woodley released a song after beating Darren Till and hasn't won since. Do you think that's had an impact or no? But seriously, the 3 fighters he's fought and lost in his last 3 fights, they've all had a similar wrestling style, similar wrestling heavy style, while Luque, that's not his style. How do you think these two will match up?
I think it's a must-win fight for Tyron Woodley. I think if he loses against Luque, I think he's got to retire. I think that's it really. And I remember it got in over his head. I think Tyron Woodley, he is a phenomenal fighter. Where he was, there was talks of him being the greatest welterweight of all time. When he first won the title off Robbie Lawler, because he went on to beat my the Darren Till Wonder Boy, such like fighters like that. And obviously then he fought Usman. Usman does what Usman does, really. Took his soul in some sort of way. And then against the Gilbert Burns fight, that really surprises in a way. I think he went gun shy, and Colby just destroyed him. But it is really sad to see Tyron Woodley lose like that, because he was one of the most exciting champions I thought at the time. And obviously liked what he's done in his career. But he's coming against a dangerous fight against Luque. Like, he's a really like fluent striker. He's got a decent ground game, but on the feet, I think he could piece Woodley up early. But my prediction for that fight, I'm going to see it. I think Woodley gets the job done. Decision. I think he'll use that wrestling heavy style. Although Luque is on the ground, he's not that too bad, but his takedown defense is very questionable. I mean, he struggled against, I think it was Nico Price. Even though he's got the stoppage done, he's struggling with the wrestling with there. And I think Tyron Woodley is a high level wrestler. He's took down, obviously, Wonder Boy. Till, yeah. And Till's no slouch on the ground neither. He's obviously fought his takedown defense as well, against Damian Maia. But age is catching up, but I think he's got everything. He's got everything to lose, really. And like, he's got to go out there and like win for his career, because I feel like there was even talks about him going to Bellator, I heard, getting released. But I think if he loses here, he's either released or retired. But I'm going Tyron Woodley, unanimous decision.
I think sorry, just off what you said, Shay. I think it is a massive shame for Woodley, because I remember when he beat Darren Till, it was such a convincing performance, and that was where Till had like the hype train properly.
Yeah.
He had so much. Sorry, cut this out. Sorry, I'll go back. I think it is such a shame for Tyron Woodley, like, because when he beat Till, it was such a convincing performance. Really, he just dealt with him. It was a second round. He landed that big shot, and then he proceeded to finish him later on, and that was where Till had such a big hype train.
Stopped the hype train, didn't he?
Yeah, exactly. Completely stopped that. And honestly, I remember that night, like, everyone was saying, "Oh, Darren Till could be the new champion." And then Woodley just dealt with him, and it
made it look easy, like ridiculously easy.
Going like now off his previous 3 fights, it just seems that obviously, you can make grounds for him saying, "Oh, he lost to Usman." Everyone knows how good Usman is, but I think he has to win Saturday night.
Got to.
I think if he loses though, like, you can't say for 1 minute that he will always have. I think just for his legacy, he has to win Saturday night. Because age is. I think age will. I think if he loses, it's just down to age. I honestly, I think it's just age is on his side.
He goes a bit gun shy. He needs to let his hands go more. I think when he lets his hands go, he's obviously like he's knocked out Robbie Lawler. He's outworked in my opinion, one of the best strikers in the UFC. Wonderboy Thompson, he's outworked him. He's got really good hands. He obviously dropped Till. I think you just need to let him go. And then in the past 3 fights or so, I've never really seen him like let them hands go. I think he's got to, but I think he's got to take Luque down, in my opinion, to win the fight. Because I think if it's on the feet, I think Luque pieces him up, probably gets a stoppage. But then again, I think Tyron Woodley's going to be too strong. I know he's a big boy, he walks around about 225, and Luque is he's a blown up lightweight, in my opinion. He's a very small 170. At the end of it, I think it's got to be a big win for Tyron Woodley. And I think that sets him on the track.
It's going to tell us a lot about his previous fights, his previous losses. Because if he loses, I think then you could say, oh, well, his previous 3 losses were because he was aging. I think he wins on Saturday night, to put it lightly. I think he wins via either a late stoppage or unanimous decision. Just on the fact that he could drain Luque, and then Luque might tap, or if that doesn't happen, you'll finish it on a unanimous decision.
Yeah.
Shay, you've said if Woodley loses, that's it for him. If he wins, is there a possibility he works his way back up to the top, or is that out of the question now?
I think most definitely, because Luque is a solid fighter in that top 15, top 10. And I think it was a cancelled fight in I think it was 2020, early 2020. Leon Edwards against Woodley, and I think if he wins this fight, I think that's a fight that I should look at again. And obviously there's Chimaev, isn't there? Chimaev hasn't had a big name fight, so maybe him. And yet again for Luque as well, if he wins, that's a really good name on his resume. Tyron Woodley, ex-champ, the world's his oyster for him. But like I said, Woodley's got everything to lose. It's his really last chance, I think, in the UFC. If he gets beat, retires, or he certainly gets released and probably goes to Bellator or something like that.
I don't even think that. I think win Saturday and do one more fight, no matter what. If it's title, or just win on Saturday and win one more big fight and then retire. Because his last 3 fights clearly show age is on his side now. And UFC and boxing as well. It's a young man's game. It's not for at all. I think win Saturday, do one more fight. Whatever happens in that next fight after Saturday, then retire.
Fair enough. So moving on to the main event, Shay, in our last podcast, you predicted. Actually, I'll play the clip here.
I'm going to be bold here. I see it's under a minute in Ngannou.
Wow, that is bold. Wow. You predicted Francis Ngannou would knock out Stipe Miocic inside a minute. Give us your thoughts on that.
He carries too much power. He's come on leaps and bounds since that Stipe fight. I think that's really awakened him. Like he's matured in a lot of ways. He was very raw coming into that fight. And like watching Stipe, his fight IQ is brilliant. But like you say, his age, like he's come off 2 wars with DC. And looking in that DC third fight, although he got the job done, he looked very hittable, and you can't be very hittable against Francis Ngannou. And another big thing, I don't know if you know him, but Francis Ngannou has got Kamaru Usman in his corner for Saturday night. And if you watch the first fight, wrestling, he didn't have no takedown defense. I think with Usman coming into that in the corner, that's a big win for Francis Ngannou. And I think he will get the job done in the first round. And like I remember DC saying this week, if Francis wins, you're looking at like there's never been a big UFC champion like marketing wise since Brock Lesnar. And what DC was trying to see, if Francis wins, he's going to be even bigger than Brock Lesnar because everyone will be tuning in, that raw KO power, what everyone knows Francis to have. Speaks well as well. But like I said, it's under a minute. I see around about the 45 second mark. I think he'll buzz him up early, and then I think it'll be a brutal KO.
Do you think this is the biggest UFC heavyweight fight since one of the DC fights, or do you think this is bigger?
I think it's not bigger than the Stipe DC number 1, but it's bigger than the other 2 for sure. I think because there's always everyone tunes in to watch a Francis Ngannou fight just for that, because it'll be over in seconds. That it gets everyone going. The casuals will be even tuning in. Any fight that Ngannou has is a big fight. He has that star power. Any fight what Stipe has is a really big fight. But you can't forget Stipe. I know he's coming in lean after this fight. He looks lean. He looks good on his feet. But I think you need that 100% focus when you're fighting Francis Ngannou. You can't afford to make a mistake. And if he makes a mistake, slips up, and Francis Ngannou's going to pounce straight away, no doubt about it.
Yeah, because we're talking about, obviously, in our last podcast, how the UFC heavyweight division has died, essentially. It's no more. It's done. But do you think after Saturday, if you get an Ngannou win, do you think it'll put it back on the map?
I think there's one man. I think there's one man for that. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I think everyone knows my love for John Jones. He's obviously waiting in the wings. He's probably the biggest name in the UFC at the moment. Khabib gone. Obviously McGregor's. We don't know. I think everyone knows who John Jones is. In my opinion, the greatest of all time. And I think he will be. I think although Francis will win the title, I think it'll be a very short title reign. I know they're looking at I think it's summertime, autumn time for the Jones heavyweight title fight. I know they did mention July. I know they do a big international fight week. I think that'd be the perfect main event for that particular week. But I think, yeah, John Jones is going to bring the UFC heavyweight division alive again.
What's the John Jones fight's the winner of this fight, do you think?
Yeah, I think that everyone knows that. I know John's bulked up. I think he mentioned about 245. I don't know if you've seen the recent videos of him. I think he's moving well. In this, I think the heavyweight division will suit him. I think his footwork's a big key because apart from Stipe, maybe Cyril Gane, I think the UFC heavyweights are really flat-footed. You look at even Ngannou, very flat-footed. Blade's flat-footed. Even Derek Lewis flat-footed. So that's going to use that. John's got the best fight IQ mixed martial arts I've ever seen, in my opinion. I think it's brilliant. Every department, even his power. We're seeing his power against DC, Gustafsson. Yeah. But I think he'll carry more power at heavyweight, and I think we'll see the best of John Jones.
So you think we see an Ngannou John Jones fight then?
I think that's the biggest. That'll be the biggest, definitely the biggest heavyweight fight the UFC's ever produced, in my opinion, because they're really contradicts the two styles. Like the big, powerful hitter John Jones, it's two styles clashing. There's obviously the big hitter in Ngannou. John Jones, the greatest of all time, putting his record on the line if he gets beat. But yeah, definitely, I think that's the biggest fight out there to make, barring like McGregor fight, whatnot. John Jones even John Jones against Stipe, I think that's a massive fight. I think that'll be a closer fight than what Ngannou is. I think John Jones will toy with Ngannou. I think he has a skill set to like play with his food, finish him late. But I think Stipe, he'll be a bit more durable. I think John will still win.
There's definitely ways all three of them fighters could beat each other. You get what I mean? So like Ngannou, John Jones beats Ngannou, and then Stipe could beat John Jones. So we're talking about UFC, the heavyweight division being over, but Saturday, thinking about it in more depth, Saturday could change all of that.
Definitely.
And actually, Saturday will change all that. It's going to be huge. I actually can't wait now. I hate when the fight's on at like stupid times in the morning.
Luckily, I know Darren Till's got a fight soon, and I know that's prime UK time because I think he's fighting. Obviously, Marvin Vittori's Italian, so prime English time for that fight in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, I agree. I'm always dead before the main event comes on. We've got to have a decent card. I think we've got a decent card Saturday. Not the best, but obviously would have been better if the Volkanovski fight was still on. But I think the card is very good, very strong.
Big night Saturday. We got Dylan White on it. Whatever time that'll be like prime UK time then.
Yeah, it'll be big.
So
it's a great night for fighting fans all the way around the world.
I'll tell all listeners right now, Shea will be mortal drunk though by the time non-stop night. So
I'm just having a few. I don't want to end up the way last Saturday end up, but I want a few civilized drinks. I think up my mum's, have a couple of cans, and then to enjoy the fights. I think I might even stick a bet on. Why not?
Just going back to the Stipe and Ngannou fight. In their last three fights each, dating back to 2019, Stipe has had a combined fight time of 48 minutes and 42 seconds, while Ngannou has only had a minute and 57 seconds. Do you think this will impact the fight or not?
Well, definitely. I think that tells all listeners why she's predicted what he's predicted. You get you get the first round is going to be crucial. If you see Stipe survive that first round, you'll see him end up winning the fight, which is why I think there's more pressure on Ngannou, because he doesn't finish the fight early, then Stipe's experience will come into force, which is why I think you're going to get, which is why the event's going to be so big, because people are going to be so interested to see what will happen there, like if it's going to be finished in the first round or not. I think because that first round is going to be the most crucial round. So
definitely.
I know you're saying how good Ngannou is in the first round, but we've got to look at this. 4 of Miocic's last 7 wins have ended in the first round.
He obviously he carries that power, Stipe, and I think nearly every heavyweight does. But I think as you get older, the power, like, he'll slow down. I think like he hasn't got that one punch knockout power. I think it's like an accumulation of shots. I know I think he stopped, was it Overeem, Dos Santos and Verdum for the belt. That was in Brazil. And I think them first 3 knockouts in the first round showed he can bang a bit.
Yeah.
Even in the DC rematch, I think his fight IQ showed then. He got the stoppage later on. And obviously he can bang a bit and he's got a decent chin, but it took, if you look at the first fight, Ngannou shots weren't concussive, they weren't really set up, like more like a Wilder. And I think now he's more matured in his style. But yeah, it's going to be a cracking fight everywhere.
How much do you think the first fight is going to impact their mentalities in this fight?
Stipe, like he knows what to do to beat Ngannou. I think he'll come into the fight more confident. He'll be more relaxed, but he'll be coming in with nothing to lose, because if Stipe gets beat Saturday, like that doesn't affect it. That doesn't affect his legacy at all. In my opinion, he's still the greatest heavyweight of all time. If he wins this Saturday to beat Ngannou twice, there's no question about it, really. With like Ngannou, he'll have confidence in that shot. I know Stipe is looking a lot more hittable these days. If DC can hit you, you better believe it. Francis Ngannou can. Francis Ngannou will pull him out cold, in my opinion.
Just going back to the last fight, let's just say Miocic makes it out of the first round. In the last fight, he won every single round. Do you think if he makes it out the first round, do you think the same will happen this fight, or do you think it'll be a totally different story?
I think it'll be a totally different story. I think, like I said, he's matured as an MMA fighter. With Kamaru Usman in his corner, that's massive. Given the wrestling exchange, I think what's going to happen. I think, and if Stipe gets out that second round, he'll take a more wrestling approach to the game. So he'll not trade with Francis Ngannou. And like with a world elite wrestler like Kamaru Usman, in fact he is probably now the best wrestler in the UFC since Khabib has left. To have him in your corner is such a big win for Francis. It's massive, and I think you're obviously going to lean towards Stipe if it goes past 1, maybe even 2, because Francis will still carry that power in the second round. I think he'll put up his shots more, he'll set them up better, not use as much energy, not go chasing him. Got to be more relaxed coming in against Stipe, because he looked hyper, he looked eager. Obviously, it was his first heavyweight title fight, and I think it was his first main event as well. Obviously, the hype around him at the time, it was the biggest thing. Just coming off that unbelievable knockout against Overeem. But now I think he's matured as an MMA fighter. I think he can. I think he will get the job done, regardless if it goes past 3. I still think he'll still have it in him.
I think Ngannou finishes it in the first round. Still, I agree with Shea. I don't think less than a minute. But I think. But then you have the thing of like Stipe's beat him, so you'll see Stipe maybe being more cautious in that first round, which is why you might see Ngannou actually clip him maybe later on. I think we'll get a first or second round KO for Ngannou.
Is that everyone's final predictions then?
Yeah, I think I'm going to be more bold tonight. Like I says, I'll be around about the 45 second mark. I think you'll see Stipe on the ground, unconscious. You'll hear Bruce Buffer say, "I'm the new heavyweight champion of the world, Francis Ngannou."
I think Ngannou. I think we'll see a cautious first round from Stipe, but then in the second, I think you'll see Ngannou break through, and I think 2 minutes into the second round, Ngannou KOs Stipe.
Both very interesting. I mean, to be fair though, Ngannou is the favourite going into this fight.
I'm a bit surprised by that. I know the odds. I think Francis is 4-5 and Stipe is evens. I think given the first fight, I think Stipe should be a lot higher. I'd probably make him about 4-7 odds on, something like that. But Francis has that unbelievable power, hasn't he? So no doubt, the bookies will be following that.
Anything else to say regarding the card on Saturday night?
Make sure everyone watches it, because it's going to be massive.
It's a big card, yeah, 100%. It leads up for the future really well.
Just in regards to betting, even though I think Ngannou wins, I will be betting on I will still bet on Stipe just for money's sake. So
With me, I know Sky Bet do a couple of specials, so I'll probably be betting Francis first round KO. Probably under a minute as well. I hope they do a special bet on that. So I'll probably be doing Francis under a minute. Maybe stick a bit of money on Tyron Woodley, because he was 21-10 in the betting.
What about the O'Malley fight?
3-10 is not worth touching, in my opinion. There's no value in that one, really. Well, no, probably it's a tailor-made fight for Sean O'Malley to come back. I don't think Almeida's worth. I know Sean O'Malley's 3-10 on Sky Bet, and Thomas Almeida's 5-2. Sorry, so no doubt they'll be doing specials though.
By the way, I just want to say, last week's podcast, we had such great support. We would just want to say a massive thank you to everyone who tuned in, everyone who subscribed, everyone who commented, everyone who followed our Instagram, our Twitter. We really, really do appreciate it.
Same for me. Like 500 to get 500 views in your first 2 days. Like, it's a first for all of us, really, and we're just blown away by all the support. Thank you for everyone that's like subscribed and viewed the video, and like, yeah, that's all I've got to say. I'm still lost for words. I keep looking at the views. Is this real? Like, it's still it's amazing. We're building a really good fan base. I thought.
Honestly, just from me as well. Like, cheers to everyone who's watched the first episode and is going to be continuing to watch the second episode. For our first, considering this is our first ever podcast, which is why at times you might see us not be as articulate with our words. But the support was mad and the views were mad. Thank you so much to everyone who's watched, and I hope you've enjoyed this podcast as well, and keep watching the podcast going forward, because we can't wait for the new guests to come on, and hope you'll get some big ones. We've got some big ones lined up, I know, so we're really looking forward to continuing the podcast. I actually have a theory for the Daft lads, because I know they might want to talk about this. It's on the topic of bowling. I don't know if you know that, when it might go for a game with the family. It might be when you go for a party.
Right.
Tempo bowling, or like bowling on a green.
No, I'm talking about like bowling as in like 10-pin bowling.
Right.
Like it can get competitive, you know what I mean? But the question I have, right, I don't know if you've noticed this when you do it, but there's 10 rounds. Like when you do it, you have 10 rounds. And on the last round, if you manage to get a strike, like where you hit every bowling pin down, you then get another shot, right? So you keep, and if you get another strike and you get another shot, right? So, but that could still happen. So after 10 rounds, pretend me and Sheer having a game of bowling in the, I don't know, Washington galleries. Sheer could have hit every shot down the gutter, and I could have been getting like consistent, fantastic shots. And on the last shot, Sheer gets a strike, and he continues to get strikes, and then ends up proceeding to beat me, right?
Right.
Oh no, you couldn't see it.
Right? How on earth is that fair? It is out of 10 rounds, and after 10 rounds, it ends, right? Also, when you're in the game, sometimes you might end up getting a strike or a spare. A spare is where you might not hit all the pins down on the first shot, but then afterwards, some more go down. It then doesn't calculate that until later in the game, and they just make it up as they go along. So more scores are added to the points board, right?
Right.
Bowling is injustice when you go for a game of bowls with your mates, or whenever you go. So I want to ask you, do you know why that happens? Because I've always wondered that since I've been going bowling since I was 6.
I'm a bit lost, but I can't. Me bowling, I can't even hold the ball properly. So I think I'm bad at that for a start. I think I was good on the Wii, like when we used to Wii Sport and used to bowl, but I think that's a little bit like.
I just want to know, because it really does infuriate me. Like, I honestly think bowling alleys need to sort their shit out, and once they do that, then like the world will be a great place. Happy the Daft Lads podcast. Make sure you cover this.
Aye, Daft Lads, we want to know your answer to that question. We've got another podcast coming out Monday that'll be covering the UFC event on Saturday, as well as the boxing fight between Dillian White and Povetkin. So you don't want to miss that one. We'll announce that on our socials, the times and stuff. But other than that, I think we're going to enjoy the fight on Saturday.
Definitely.
Description.
Yeah, link in the description for everything. So yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Cheers, everyone.
Peace.